Good morning, Christine.
Good morning. How are you, Kendall?
Doing great. How are you?
I am well.
I'm looking forward to Monday.
I know I am too. That'll be so great. Do you know where we're meeting yet?
I thought it was going to be at your place.
Okay. I know that there was talk of having it over in your neck of the woods too, so I wasn't sure, but absolutely.
Right. I think that we're still working on getting that building open. It is going to happen. It is happening right now, but I think at this point it's probably safer to be over there if that's okay with you.
Oh, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
we've got all the equipment and everything, so we'll have a PowerPoint and a great binder for you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Christine Brown. I'm the Director of Member Engagement here at the Reno Sparks Chamber, and we're so pleased that so many of you have joined this call today. This is the second time we've gotten to have Dr. Kristen McNeill on board with us, and we've gotten to pick her brain about the upcoming school year and challenges therein. Doctor, I see you are on the line, so thank you and hello.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well. How are you today?
We are doing well.
As well as can be expected, I'm sure.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. You certainly, I think no one on this call envies the position you're in, but we're grateful that you're at the helm, and we're very grateful that you're taking the time to talk to us today. Let's see. So we're right at the top of the hour, and I'm seeing actually quite a few folks still hopping on. So maybe we'll just go ahead and wait 1 minute to get started, 1 minute or so while people are still hopping on board. But just a quick reminder, we have some prepared questions for Dr. McNeill. But if you have questions that come up for you during the call, anyone who is on the call is invited to use the chat function in order to ask whatever question they may have for the superintendent. And we will do our best to address whatever questions we can toward the end of the call. We'll try and reserve the last 5 to 10 minutes of the call for questions that come up on the spot. So with that, I think we'll go ahead and get started. I know there's still some folks hopping on, but time is of the essence. We've got half an hour, and we know the superintendent is busy. So we'll go ahead and just get things going. So in a lot of ways, Dr. McNeill is a woman who needs no introduction. But Dr. McNeill, if you want to just say a few words introducing yourself and saying hello.
Sure, absolutely. Well, first of all, just thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with our chamber. We have a wonderful partnership with the chamber, and we just truly appreciate the leadership of the chamber, and having Ann as part of our task force, our reopening task force, has been a tremendous help to get the voice of businesses in our community. So just a shout out to Ann and everything that she has done. And I just really appreciate any opportunity that we can to, talk about what's happening within the school district, and any opportunity that we can talk about our children and our families is an opportunity that I'm not going to pass up. So.
Right. Thank you. Well, the feeling is mutual. We appreciate your partnership, knowing that, so many, what has been apparent during the COVID-19 crisis, probably more than anything, is how so many things intersect together and influence one another. And of course, the business community and education, there's so many areas where those two sectors come together, not only when it comes to, the future of Nevada's workforce and making sure that Nevada's future workforce is educated and that pipeline continues to run healthily and smoothly into the future. But also we've got parents who are struggling with their children's education through distance learning. And, there are so many ways that the business community and educators are working together and need to continue their partnership. And so we really do appreciate you taking time to answer our questions as we move through these uncharted waters together. So we'll just go ahead and jump right in with some of our questions. So of course, one of the things on everyone's mind right now is, the statement put out by some educator unions on Monday, asking for a delayed start to in-person instruction for the school year, calling for 9 weeks of only distance learning to start off the school year. What are your thoughts on that request, and what do you think is the way forward?
Well, if there's anything I think all of us have learned is that we need to be as flexible as possible. There's an old movie term, overcome, adapt, and adjust, and that's kind of the new motto. And so we have a very close relationship with our associations. We have 5 associations within the school district, and there were 3 associations that submitted that letter. And my commitment to our associations, and not every employee is a member of an association as well. So that's important to also understand. But my commitment as the superintendent is to make sure that we can get as many of their questions answered as rapidly as possible. And so that was my commitment. And, we met with the health district. We had a very good meeting with the health district. And next Tuesday, the health district is going to be presenting to our board of trustees. Our agenda has been posted for next Tuesday's meeting. It's a regular board meeting. But I think that it's really important for the health district because we've been partners with them through this entire crisis and even before that, have an opportunity to speak to the metrics and what's happening within our community right now. And so again, it's just trying to get as many of these questions, and sometimes we don't have the answers. And I'm just, I'm very open about that. I don't have all the answers. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what our, environment is going to be looking like in 30, 45, 90 days. Nobody does. All we can do is the best we can do with the information that we have.
Right.
But knowing the organization is 64,000 students and 8,000 employees, it's not something that I can just snap my finger and, pivot this way or pivot that way. So we have submitted our distance learning plans. We have submitted our hybrid plans. We have submitted our in-person plans to the Nevada Department of Education. Our board approved those plans back on July 7th, as you all know. And the Department of Education has also approved for 5 additional professional learning days for our teachers and our principals and our staff, because we felt that was really important so that they have the opportunity to get into the buildings, whether it's learning more about Infinite Campus, whether it's learning more about the curriculum, the teams type of environment, and then just what does a regular classroom look like in the age of social distancing. So that's kind of where we are at this point in time.
Right. And those 5 additional days are certainly a crucial investment into the readiness and the preparedness and the comfortability of the teachers in the district and administrators and staff to make sure that they know the lay of the land and they feel equipped and prepared to do what needs to be done at the start of the school year. So that's fantastic. And staying on that topic, what are some of the other efforts that the district has undertaken to help ensure the safety of staff, both staff and students, as we approach the new school year? What have those efforts required from you guys?
Oh, goodness gracious!
Where do you
so
start?
much? Yeah, that's a baked potato of a question. That's loaded. So there's so much. So for example, just on the facility side, so we have ordered thousands and thousands of gallons of hand sanitizer, thousands of face coverings. And as you know, our board, and I fully support that, face coverings are mandatory. Whether you're in an administration building such as I work in, or whether we're in a school, but anytime you're going to be walking onto Washoe County School District property, you must have a face covering, and that includes on our school buses as well too. So face coverings, PPE, we've ordered thousands of masks, as I said, hand sanitizer, cleaning protocols, additional cleaning protocols, cleaning products within our schools. Each one of the schools will receive on a continual basis PPE, cleaning, hand sanitizer, additional routines for our site facility coordinators, our custodians, to do additional cleanings throughout the school day. And then also importantly, I know there's been a lot of conversation around HVAC systems, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems. And so our facilities department has done a yeoman's job on testing that, and the number of times that full school can recycle fresh air throughout on an hourly basis. And so they've gone through and they've tested that in our older buildings and our newer buildings as well. Ventilation on our school buses, what does that look like? And then obviously all the efforts around social distancing. And, what does it look like in a classroom where we have desks versus tables? And how many students can sit at a table versus 6 feet apart on a desk? Our schools are continually being walked by our principals, by our area superintendents. Our leadership team has even, said we will help a principal walk through a school. So it's really, we've often used the term all hands on deck, and that's what it is. If I have to go out and teach a class this fall, we're all ready there to help what our schools need. So that's kind of where we are on preparations.
Gotcha. And turning attention to teachers for just a moment. So we know, especially with the letters submitted on Monday, there are some educators who are feeling a measure of hesitation in returning to work, returning to in-person instruction at the start of the school year. What do you anticipate seeing in terms of a straight up refusal to return to work? Are you anticipating any difficulty in getting teachers to come back to work? And do you see an increase in the teacher shortage that already exists in the district?
So we were pretty proactive. We actually sent out a survey to our teachers, and then we're going to be following up to our other employee groups as well. But we sent out a survey to our teachers to ask them, are you comfortable coming back into the building? And then, would you rather have a distance learning type of environment if you had an underlying health condition or something such as that? So that we can kind of start to build our plan as far as we want to make sure that our families have as many options available to them as possible. So that includes expanding the capacity of North Star Online School, which we have. That also means having a full distance learning opportunity for our families within their home school as well too. But we need teachers in order to do the distance learning model as well as the in-person model. And so at next Tuesday's meeting, we have been planning to go over what those survey results are. Of course, there's concerns. There's concerns, on all sides, from families, from students, from teachers, support staff as well. And that's what I mean. We're trying to answer as many questions as possible as far as, if somebody tests positive, what does that mean? What are exclusion? How long does a student or a staff member have to be excluded? So these were some of the questions that we posed to the health district and that they'll be sharing at next Tuesday's board meeting as well.
Gotcha. And turning now to students, we know at the start of Nevada's shutdown in March, there were about 16,000 Washoe County School District students who didn't have access to the technology they needed in order to distance learn. And of course, packets were provided. There were other options for students who didn't have access to technology or even broadband Wi-Fi. And we know that number has been reduced, and Education Alliance in particular has played a role in seeing that number reduced and helping to obtain technology for students. And now we're sitting at about 11,000 students without some kind of laptop or access. Where do you see, what kinds of efforts is the district pursuing now to close that connectivity gap for students?
Absolutely. So a lot of work has been done, and I know Kendall is on the call, and we could not be where we are today without our nonprofits and our partners like the Education Alliance, the Reno Rotary Club. Just so many people have stepped up to the plate, and so I want to give a huge shout out to our nonprofits for that. and also our casino industry as well. I know the Carano family has done a wonderful job on providing additional keyboards that they no longer needed. And we said, hey, we'll take them. But actually right now, so we've ordered an additional 4,000 devices. So we are now down to 7,000. The gap is 7,000.
Fantastic.
But what the issue is the backlog of orders, because obviously there's 13,000 school districts which are doing the same thing as Washoe County is across the country. So districts are facing right now the issue of backlogs of orders. But we have ordered about 4,000 devices. We've also ordered 3,000 hotspots to help with the connectivity issue. And then we also ordered 25 smart bus units. So we can put these units into a bus, and then that all of a sudden makes the bus a hotspot so that students are able to go out and connect. We've had tremendous partnerships with AT&T, T-Mobile, but you know, AT&T has done a great job on getting the word out about different types of programs for our parents to sign up for internet. But the issue continues to be, and again, not just in Washoe, but Nevada. And so I was just on a call yesterday with the governor's task force on this, on broadband. Mm-hmm. And how are we going to be able to, as a state, have access? You know, when we talk about internet connectivity and broadband, there's a lot of us that feel that this should just be a right. You know, it should be just like a utility. It should be water, it should be electricity, and then internet connectivity. But so many of our rural districts have a tremendous time on connectivity. So that continues to be an issue. But, you know, we are doing the best possible job with what we have at this point in time. And, you know, just having the partnership, getting devices into the hands of students. But then also importantly, it's also the professional learning for our teachers on how to do a distance learning model. It's one thing to do a Zoom meeting, but it's a very different thing to do a high quality distance learning type of educational program, which we must have going into the 2021 school year.
Right. And, you know, and that's very interesting. I have a follow-up question on that wasn't planned. What would you say to, I mean, I understand that, you know, teaching philosophies are quickly evolving and doing so likely in real time in terms of how educators can best facilitate online learning and an online learning environment that, you know, is going to allow students, you know, to stick, to allow that knowledge to be sticky for them, and to prevent learning loss. What are some things that you would recommend parents do to make sure that knowledge stays sticky for their kids and they're able to retain the instruction that they are receiving online?
Well, so first of all, the distance learning option going into the 2021 school year has to look different than what it did in the spring. You know, in the spring, we were reacting to a crisis, and districts did the best that they possibly could. But we know we need to do better than what we were able to do. And so providing new content, making sure that our teachers have the ability to engage students, and whether that is in a Zoom meeting, in a Teams type format, whether that is in a flipped learning model, which is kind of a mix of in-person, and then I give you the assignment, and then, you know, we meet in smaller groups, and then we bring it back and we talk about it. And that can be in a virtual environment, but it has to be very engaging for the staff, and very engaging for our students as well. And so that's kind of what we're working on right now.
Gotcha. Turning to, you know, some of the concerns of our members, we've got a lot of folks on the call and a lot of folks who are chamber members who are employers, who of course have employees who are parents and have children within the school district. What advice would you give to an employer right now? And we know some are on this call as we speak, who are thinking through how to work with employees who perhaps need flexibility with their schedules in order to accommodate kids who are learning at home. What would you tell an employer to do in order to, not only ensure that the needs of their business, can be satisfied in moving forward, but also that the needs of their employees are met in needing to be home with kids who are learning from home?
Absolutely. And, and the name of the game is to be as flexible as possible. And that's something that we have to do as an employer as well, too. And staggered schedules, just within our central services staff. I can't have 20 particular people in in an office. And so we all have to kind of stagger our schedules. And what does that look like? And, if you're able to do, work at home, so long as you're being productive and you're doing that work, and I know as your supervisor that you're doing that work, then that's fine. But this is kind of, and I hate to use this term because it's become so trite, but this is our new normal, and we're working in conjunction with the new normal on sustainability of our economy at the same time. And so how does that look in conjunction with trying to reopen schools and reopen our economy? And number one priority, the health and safety of our community and our students and our families. And how do you put all that together? So that's kind of what we're managing right now.
Right. And a quick follow-up to that, for a parent, for instance, who is an hourly worker, who is a frontline worker and doesn't have the option of working from home, what kinds of accommodations, and I imagine this might fall to individual schools to decide, but and individual teachers and principals to decide, administrators, what kinds of accommodations may exist for parents who are in that position who do not have the ability to stay home, but also have a dire need, to have someone with their kids? Is there, for instance, any accommodation being made for full-time in-person instruction for kids in exceptional circumstances? Or are there any services being offered, perhaps, through a nonprofit or, other means to accommodate some of these shift workers who don't have the ability to work from home?
Well, when we were, first putting together our plans, our priority obviously had to be with our littlest ones, as far as to be able to, stay home. And so that's the plan that's been approved at this point in time by the board, is for a full in-person for our elementary, and then a hybrid model for our middle and our high schools. I'm still concerned about our middle schoolers, and what that means for that very fragile population of students out there. But we have to abide by the governor's directives. We have to abide by what the recommendations are from CDC and the AAP and the health district. And so we're trying to manage all of that, and still be able to provide a high quality educational product. And I also look to our counties and our cities as well to be able to help out with this, and they've been great partners. The Boys and Girls Club, because we're all in this together, and the school district is going to need to continue to work with those organizations, and whether it's the possibility of using, for example, the Reno Sparks Convention Center as a venue to be able to have after school care or child care of some sort, during particular times during the school year. We just need to have those very important conversations.
Right, absolutely. And I think you're right. The way forward in this is community partnership. And, even, folks on this call in the private sector, there are ways that we can all step in and provide assistance, whether it's, one of the companies, represented right now on this call, or one of the businesses of the chamber donates money toward laptops, helps with connectivity issues, has a facility that they might be able to open up for some kind of purpose. There are solutions out there. We just need to talk to each other. And I think, that's why I very much appreciate you taking the time to, answer these questions and think through, what it could look like for folks who are, in exceptional circumstances and need help. So, maybe someone on this call will be inspired to do something today, and that will have been well worth it. Just a couple more questions. We've got a lot of great questions coming in through chat. So I'm going to, just probably do one or two more of my own, but one that I'm really curious about, we hear, and this may be something that we don't know until we have hindsight to give us the ability to see it, but we hear a lot of the cons about distance learning, a lot of the things it does not provide our kids, a lot of the things that, a lot of the, especially for younger children, the ways that it does not satisfy their learning needs. But are there any pros that you see to distance learning or have seen? Or is there any kind of silver lining that distance learning provides in terms of our kids' education?
Absolutely. And, like I was saying earlier, the distance learning that we had in the spring was, something that we had to do, and we had to put that together very quickly. And we didn't want to have to put the burden of, on our teachers as far as developing lesson plans and then dealing with the crisis that was happening at this point in time. But I do believe, I'm a strong believer in the use of technology, but it has to be used in such a way that it provides for absolute engagement with our students. And many of our teachers work very, very hard on developing lessons that are engaging. But now what we have to move into is, how do you do that integrated into a virtual format?
Right.
And so there have been so many creative lessons from our teachers. We've had a kindergarten teacher that did a full month calendar as far as, today we're going to be going out on a walk, and, we're going to be taking our devices out when we go out for a walk, and just very different types of creative activities for distance learning. But importantly, for this year, in our distance learning plan, new content has got to be covered.
Right.
We have to be able to provide, English language arts and math, and making sure that our students are on track for that. And I also want to do, make sure that people understand, and I said this at the board meeting a couple of weeks ago, when our students come back and our teachers come back, my number one concern, even though I'm the superintendent of the school district, is not academics the very first time. I need our teachers to be able to relate and engage and have that relationship with our students.
Right.
Many of our students have been through trauma, and so I want them to have that time to let's talk about what we've been through, and really spend a lot of time around the social emotional aspects.
Right. Absolutely. And that will only serve to buffer, those relationships as they're translating to a distance learning model throughout the school year as well, in that hybrid situation. So the more legwork can be done in cultivating that trust, along with, of course, instruction, that's only going to serve to deepen and buffer those distant relationships that need to happen as well. I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into these questions. We've got so many good ones, and thank you to those on the call who submitted questions. It's always wonderful to have folks who are engaged. So a couple, I want to start here because I think this is probably the one that's going to take the most time to address. But we have a question from an audience member saying, how do you anticipate utilizing Washoe County School District's share of the $50 million of CARES Act money that was just passed at the last minute of the legislature, since it has to be used by December 2020?
Right, it does have to be used by December 2020, and to be very specific, so this, we have our own CARES Act funding. We received about $9 million, and that goes through fiscal year 22, and so we're going to be using that for devices, for positions around gifted and talented, but we had to wait until the special session was over to see kind of where we were going to have to make some of the shift of the funds.
Right.
So the $50 million, we just met with the state superintendent yesterday. It's going to be distributed on a per pupil basis, and it has to be distributed in regards to per pupil as far as students that have EL services or that are in a vulnerable population. However, the money does not have to be following the students. And so knowing that we lost funding in Read by Grade 3, which was a significant grant program, as well as what's been referred to as SB 178. So we are going to be looking at using our share of care funding to substantiate positions and make sure that we have those positions taken care of. So whether it's literacy specialists, additional substitute type positions, but that funding is very separate and distinct then from our ESSER's CARES Act funding, and that grant application is actually on our Tuesday's board agenda.
Right, thank you. So this is another great question, and especially in regard to what we were previously talking about when it comes to community partnership and ways that nonprofits and even the private sector can step in and help right now. So this person wants to know, what is the best way for community recreation, sports, and philanthropic organizations and nonprofits to offer programs to supplement distance learning or even provide supervision, distance learning guidance, and recreational activities? What are some of your comments for folks in that arena who might be ready and willing to step in and help?
I think the more that are nonprofits, I think of Urban Roots, I think of Sierra Journeys, and so many of these nonprofits will come into our school and provide fabulous lessons, and even though for the health and safety of everyone, we're going to be limiting the number of people that we're allowing into schools. There's still opportunities, virtual tours. There was a fabulous virtual tour in Virginia City. So I think anything done with our nonprofits that still allow for engagement. So whether it's out on a recreational field and taking care, all protocols, precautions, but still having that partnership, and it's just going to look a little bit different.
Right, absolutely. Another really good question here. Will there be more teachers available with the rotation of kids distance learning and at school learning? Are there going to be more teachers hired in order to accommodate some of these varied schedules and smaller class sizes, et cetera?
So we had to wait until the special session concluded, and we're still kind of working through what all of those numbers are going to be. But we would like to start being able to hire. We have approximately 37 vacancies, but we need to make sure that all of our current teachers by contract have positions. And so we had to wait again till the special session ended. But as soon as we're able to, we will be hiring teachers for those vacant positions as well too.
Gotcha. All right. Ooh, the questions keep on coming. I know I won't keep you too much longer. If it's okay, 11:35. Is it okay if we stick around for about 5 more minutes?
Absolutely.
So this question is fairly focused, and this person is asking about the Edgenuity online option that is being provided through high schools. Can you briefly explain what that is and how rigorous of a tool it will be for instruction?
So Edgenuity took the place of a program that was used for online distance learning. It was called A+. And what we found is that Edgenuity was actually a lot more rigorous, but it actually offered more coursework. So we have gone to great lengths over the summer to train teachers in the use of Edgenuity. In fact, part of the professional learning that our teachers are going to be having when they come back the week of August 10th through the 14th will be additional instruction in Edgenuity. But it is a very robust course, and we've heard great feedback as far as the number of, from this last spring, the number of courses that were actually completed by students. But it is a lot more rigorous than A+. But I'm getting to be more of a fan of it. But I wanted to make sure that, number one, that no harm was done to students. And then obviously to provide our teachers with that professional learning in order how to use the program.
Gotcha. And I know we talked about this particular issue. We talked about before and after school care a little bit earlier in the call, but I'm wondering if you could just reiterate what the plans are for before and after school care, and maybe even providing meals to kids who rely on schools, to have meals before and after school as well.
So we're continuing to work out those issues, and a lot of it depends on, what's going to be happening here in the next couple of weeks at the board meeting. But we want to be able to make sure that our students have quality of before and after school programs, such as the Boys and Girls Club. I know we have some, private examples of before and after school care. But we also want to make sure that we're, our number one concern is the education during the day, and that our facilities folks have the time to go in and make sure that our schools are clean, ready for the next day. And so, we're going to be working with our partners in the city and the county to see what we're going to be able to do around that.
Alrighty. Well, we've got so many more questions, but we are over time. And so, because you are very busy addressing the exact things we're talking about, I will definitely go ahead and let you go right now. But I thank you so much again, Dr. McNeill, for taking the time to talk to us, to talk to our members, to answer some tough questions that in a lot of ways don't have answers, nor are they easy answers if they do have answers. So thank you for at the very least inviting us into the process, allowing us to see how you're thinking about these issues, how you're approaching these issues, because that's half the battle. So thank you so much for your time.
Well, thank you so much. And again, just a huge thank you to the Chamber, to Ann, to you, to all of our nonprofits and our for-profits as well too. I've said it before, and so has our board. We are in this together, and we're in it for all the right reasons for our kids. So just thank you so much, and we will get through it.
All right, thank you. And we will probably have you back sooner than later.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much. Everyone have a wonderful day.